Hi there. In this video I'm going to do some derivatives involving chain rule, how to simplify some of those derivatives. There might be a product rule in here as well and a word problem. The whole point of this is to help out some of my students with an assignment I've left them and to help you with any of these you might be struggling with. So if we look at the first one you see here, find the derivative of this function. You have 3x plus 2x plus 1 to the 1/2. That 1/2 power is the same thing as a square root of 2x plus 1. I just rewrote it to the 1/2. And that whole function is to the 4th power. So what you have is a complicated function inside of something to the 4th power. That's an indication that you need to use the chain rule because you have a composition of functions. One function inside of another function. So we have to, according to the chain rule, to do the derivative of y, I'll call that y prime, we take our power down, and you would have 4. Then you now have what's inside the bracket. It remains unchanged. 3x plus 2x plus 1 to the 1/2, and you reduce the power by 1 from 4 to 3. The chain rule kicks in at this point, however, and says that you need to multiply by the derivative of what's in the bracket. The derivative of 3x is just 3. However, this next part is a bit more difficult because you have to take the derivative of something to the 1/2 power. That's another chain rule. So we drop our 1/2 down and becomes a coefficient. You would have 2x plus 1. We're keeping the bracket the same. Subtract 1 from the power and you get negative 1/2. And chain rule says we then take the derivative of what is inside that bracket, which would be a 2. I see a slight mistake I've made here where we have 3 plus 1/2 of that. There was a plus right there. Glad I caught that. So now you've got 3 plus all of these multiplied together, the 1/2, the 2x, and the 2, or the 2x, the negative 1/2, excuse me, and the 2. That whole bracket is multiplied by the initial stuff that you see. So in terms of simplifying this, the only thing you really look for is some common factors, and you try and make sure there's no negative exponents kicking around. So we've got to play with this second bracket here. I'll leave everything else initially the same. 4 bracket, 3x plus 2x plus 1 to the 1/2. Let's make it a square root because it looks cooler. To the 3. Then we have bracket 3 plus, the middle school elevator rule says you take that negative 1/2 and it moseys on down into the denominator and becomes positive 1/2. So you have 2x plus 1 to the 1/2. Then you have a 1/2 times 2 leaves 1 kicking around, and it was all plus 3. Now this is 2x plus 1 to the 1/2. That is the square root of 2x plus 1. The only thing you might do further than this is to get a common denominator, make 3 over 1, have the same radicals that you see in the second bracket. I don't see much that we're going to gain from that, so we're just going to move on and leave that in that form. That is the slope of the tangent line to the curve at any point. We'll move on to a second example. Determine the derivative of the function when you have x to the 2/3 onto x squared plus 6. So most students would look at this and see two functions multiplied together, and they would say if you have two functions multiplied together and you want the derivative, you take the derivative of the first times the second, and the derivative of the second times the first. We call that the product rule. However, you don't always have to do it that way, because after you do the product rule, you would have to simplify it. However, if we want to simplify this first, the derivative might get easier. Let's see what happens with it. I'm not taking a derivative, so I have not written f prime of x, just f of x. I will take x to the 2/3 and multiply by x squared. When I do that, I will get x to the 2/3 plus 2, and then I will get 6x to the 2/3. So our 2/3 plus 2 becomes 8 over 3, and 6x to the 2/3. Now I'm ready to take a derivative because I don't see a product rule. I just see two things being added together. So to do derivative, f prime now, you drop just power rule, drop the 8/3 down as a coefficient. X, subtract 1 from the power, 8/3, subtract 3/3 is 5/3. Then I keep the 6. 2/3 comes down as a coefficient, so I have 2/3 x to the minus 1/3 when I subtract 1 from 2/3. Simplifying a little bit, f of x, we have 8/3 x to the 5/3 plus 4x to the minus 1/3, because that would be 6 times 2 is 12, divided by 3 is 4. I see a common factor of 4 that can come out with an 8 and a 4. And also I want to take out the highest power of x to the minus 1/3. So if I was removing a 4, x to the minus 1/3 from each of the terms, then I would write my 4 x to the minus 1/3 out front. That would leave 2/3 from the 8/3 left. And x 5/3 subtract a negative 1/3 is 6/3. That is x squared plus 1. The last thing, it's just kind of taboo that we don't write a negative exponent in my answer, so you continue to simplify. We'd leave the 4. You'd have 2/3 x squared plus 1, and the x to the minus 1/3 has gone into the denominator and become x to the positive 1/3. I think I have enough time for the last question that's on your exam or on your assignment. And this question reads, find all the points where the tangent line to the curve y equals x cubed plus 3x squared minus 7x plus 2 is parallel to the line 2x minus y plus 5 equals 0. So your strategy, if the lines are parallel, then the slope of the tangent line, so slope of tangent is parallel, that means equal to the slope of this guy. So the slope of that line is 2x plus 5 equals y, is just rewriting the equation, and the slope would be 2, remembering y equals mx plus b. So you want to know where's the slope of the tangent line equal to 2. How do you get a slope of a tangent line? It's called a derivative. So we take y prime, 3x squared plus 6x minus 7, and we want to know where is that slope equal to 2. That means where is 3x squared plus 6x minus 9 equal to 0? Take the 2 over. Before I try factoring, I would look for a common factor of 3. X squared plus 2x minus 3. That's a 2. I said 2, didn't write it. So x squared plus 2x minus 3. What two numbers multiply to give negative 3 and add to give 2? I'm pretty sure 3 and negative 1 are going to be the magic numbers of the day. So we still have our factor of 3, and this becomes x plus 3, x minus 1. So that means at x plus 3 is 0, and x minus 1 equals 0. So at the point x of minus 3 and at the point x equals 1 are the two places on the graph where the tangent line to the curve, x cubed plus 3x squared minus 7x plus 2, has a slope of 2, or would be parallel to that line. Hopefully it gives you a little bit of help with whatever you've been struggling with, and have a great day.